Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnu Part Paramahansa Varivajagacharya Asudhara Sri Sri Maharaj Divine Grace of Hari Charanand Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Priya Vedanga Chansala Book Distribution Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Gauda Premanande All glories to some of the bodies All glories to some of the bodies All glories to some of the bodies All glories to Sri Guru and Gaura
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. Hari Bol. All right, so we've done this annually for many years. I think there's a year or two we might have skipped it, but this year we're reviving it again. This particular section of the marathon is to glorify and recognize devotees that went out on book distribution, and to it was very important actually, because Srila Prabhupada was very enlivened by hearing scores. Prabhupada was very enthusiastic, and we'll read a couple of things here that Prabhupada personally quoted in terms of book distribution and the importance of it. And for us as Prabhupada disciples here, and Satyanarayana Prabhu also, for us it's very important that we try to have all of you imbibe the mood of book distribution as we ourselves heard from Srila Prabhupada, and how ecstatic Prabhupada was when he heard all these types of scores and the distribution of his literature. It encouraged him, enthused him in order to distribute, to translate, publish, print more of his books. And book distribution, we should see it as being part of the culture of Krishna consciousness. You know, when you have a cultural enterprise here of you know, the deity worship, the type of cooking, the standards, the quality of a devotee, Vaishnava behavior, all these things are cultural. And book distribution must be part of that culture. It must be part of our understanding of the importance of the Krishna conscious movement and what we have to offer to the world. So Prabhupada's books, they're invaluable. They're like gems. And we can see that if someone, even Prabhupada himself said, if someone gets a book and they just touch it, their life is changed. And there's so many stories that we've heard on that platform. So many people that just touched the book became a devotee. True story. I've said it many times, but it's one of my favorite. There was a devotee that I used to distribute with in the airports. And one day he just revealed to me how he came to this movement. His father got a book in an airport, didn't give a donation, took it home, put it on the shelf in the house, and it was in a basement. So this devotee told me that he was into pumping iron, flexing his, building up his muscles. And so he would work down in the basement with his friends on a regular basis, pumping iron, and they're really into it. So he said that one day his friends, they weren't like really, I can't remember exactly, so I'm just kind of paraphrasing a little bit, but it seemed like he was there just with one other person. And they were lifting weights. And so he put on extra weight on the barbell because he was trying to really be strong. So he said that as he was lifting it, he got to a certain particular point, and then he couldn't hold it anymore. It was too heavy for him. So he went back and he let the barbell go and hit the wall. And in that wall there was a bookshelf. And on that bookshelf was a Bhagavad Gita. And he said the Bhagavad Gita fell off the bookshelf, hit him in the head. and it hurt him. And he became a devotee. True story. So just touching, just touch the book, knowingly or unknowingly, it can be the future of a person's life. So we take those things seriously in Krishna consciousness, especially I would say that for us here that are disciples of Srila Prabhupada, we know the ecstasies that Srila Prabhupada had in terms of us distributing his books. Somehow we would like to invest that same enthusiasm within all of you. We're not as pure as Srila Prabhupada, but we actually are very desirous of seeing Srila Prabhupada's movement go on. And if book distribution isn't part of that culture, there'll be a difficulty. There'll actually be a problem in our society if we don't carry on this idea of book distribution and understand the importance of it and imbibe it. When you say you imbibe something, you take it in within yourself. And we should take this book distribution within ourselves and in our heart, because we know that it pleases the predecessor acharyas. And that's why it's so important to have Prabhupada's words, that we read his words and we feel his ecstasy in his words about the glorification of book distribution. So that's what this is about. It's not for any self-aggrandizement. It's simply for developing enthusiasm and imbibing and knowing the feeling and the mood of the Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. And in order to accomplish this goal, we have to all be cooperative of it. Everything that we do in the temple is for that purpose of preaching. We have deity worship for preaching. People can come, you can see the deity, they become very excited, they want to participate, they want something to do, we engage them. So Prabhupada, he gave the example of a temple like an army. You know, in the army you have different types of individuals that are in different departments. There's a cooking department, you know, there's the special group rangers, you know, the ones that are in the front line and they go out. But there's a lot of back work too. Cooking, deity worship, cleaning. These things are important parts of an army. You can't distribute books if you don't have a go-down. So you have to have a go-down where you keep books. You have to have vehicles. The vehicles have to be running properly, right? All these things are ingredients in order to get out and preach Krishna consciousness. That's what they're for.
By the way, a go-down is a warehouse.
Yeah, oh sorry. Go down means warehouse, so sorry. Thank you. You have to have a little warehouse here. We have a huge warehouse, BBT warehouse, 20,000 square feet. And it's full to the brim with Prabhupada's books. And this should be something that's part of our life, that's part of the culture. And we have to see that we all are part of this army of fighting against Maya. We talk about that a lot, fight Maya. So we're like an army that's fighting Maya, the illusion of this material world. But we all have to be on the same page in order to be victorious. You know, just like if there's a war going on. If one section decides to boycott, like the cooks decide not to cook for the army, they'll starve to death. They'll die. Or if part of the army doesn't want to maintain the weapons or the armor or tanks, or no, I'm not going to do it, then what will happen? There'll be a big blank in the process of that war. So we have to be on the same page, and this particular session here is try to get us on the same page and really develop and imbibe within ourselves the understanding and the importance of book distribution. And if we do that, then everything will happen automatically. It'll be a successful campaign. And this campaign is 7 days a week. It's not just a, you know, one year war, 1 month war. No, it's a culture. It's part of our activity. And it's the most important part of our activity in Krishna consciousness. Having temples is not what Srila Prabhupada came for. He came here specifically to print publish his books, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's why Prabhupada came. He never came to build big palatial temples. It happened on its own accord as more and more people came. But his desire, his focus was book distribution, publishing, printing, distributing his transcendental books, which are Vedic knowledge. And it started out really slow because years ago, 1971, when book distribution started, Buddhimanta, I think, yeah, Pernarva, is that Pernarva? Yeah, Pernarva, yeah, okay. Yeah. They were the catalyst. The way it happened is that there were devotees that were at a gas station, and they were filling up the tank with gas, and the guy was asking them questions. So the devotees spoke to him, and then finally when it came down to paying for the gas, out of the blue, this devotee just said, well, can I give you a book instead? And the person said, yeah. And guess what? The beginning of book distribution. Yeah, that's how it began, way back then. Just by that, by accident. Devotees were always trying to figure out how to distribute Prabhupada's books by different venues, but they weren't very successful. So it started with that, a Krishna book. And then from that, these, Buddhimanta, and they started going out. And they would do, sometimes Buddhimanta would do 5 Krishna books in one day. Haribo! And everybody was excited as anything. 5 Krishna books, big Krishna books. And became very enthusiastic, and devotees became, just ecstatic. And so they started going out. And they distributed, like 10 Krishna books in a day. And sometimes, a party of 4 or 5 would do like 30 or 40 or 50 of Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book. And then the book distribution exploded. It exploded. The fire caught on. And devotees were ecstatic, and they were so happy. And Srila Prabhupada was receiving the news from different devotees writing Prabhupada, and he became very ecstatic. And so it created this atmosphere. And at that time, there weren't that many devotees. But, from that small start of book distribution, in 1973, like that, 72, 73, there was an explosion of devotees that came to Krishna consciousness. It was just a wave. And most of those devotees were into book distribution, like Kapma, Prigupati, myself, Satyanarayan, Tadit Dasi. If you joined the temple at that time, you were a book distributor immediately. And you figured out how to go door to door, stick your foot in the screen door so the old lady couldn't shut the door on you. You did so many different things that you could do in order to distribute a magazine or a book. And the fire caught on. And that fire has not been extinguished all the way up to this particular day that we're here. You're going to hear some scores from LA here, which is huge. And it's ever increasing. So this is not only happening here, but it's happening around the world. Even up north, the ISV temple, the Silicon Valley, they're just cleaning up, so to speak. They're just distributing books profusely by the pallets. They buy a pallet of books and boom, gone. So from that little time in a gas station to today in 2024, book distribution has increased tremendously. And in America too, the BBT LA. This year we're encroaching upon 3 million in sales in America alone. Yes, Haribo. That's huge. That is a huge amount of books. And Prabhupada would be so pleased by all of us working together as an army.
It's like 3 times what we used to do.
Yeah, oh yeah, easy 3 times what we used to do, yeah. At least 3 times more. So this is important work and important news and important understanding. And we should really take it seriously because this is the future of the Krishna conscious movement. In our particular way, you know, we have different devotees that are coming, you know, like we have, you know, Gopi, or Shira Gopinath, right? Shira Kora Gopinath, yes. And Jagat Tatra Prabhu, yes. And Bhakti Avatar Prabhu, yes. Bhakti Kevin. You know, these Prabhus are coming because of this book distribution. And Aishwarya Prabhu, Haribo, and Bhakti Rico. Yeah, they're coming because of this book distribution. They've gotten a book, they've heard about Krishna consciousness, and they're fired up to be part of that preaching effort, that desire to get people to understand about Krishna consciousness. So that's like a little bit of a prelude here, you know. And so I'm going to read just a couple of things, all right? And then I'm going to let Naikatma and Brigupati speak. They're old-time book distributors. Okay, this is just a couple of letters. This is kind of neat. It just kind of gives you a perspective how Srila Prabhupada himself considered book distribution. This was a letter that Srila Prabhupada wrote to one of his disciples. And he says, quote, regarding sales figures, please endeavor in this way. The sales figures, this is the only solace in my life. When I hear that my books are selling so nicely, I become energetic like a young man. It is very good report that the printers are surprised at our sales figures. Yes, there was a boom for that too. The Bhagavad Gita was just practically nothing, hardly known in the world. But the minute Prabhupada's Gita came out and Macmillan printed it, it was an explosion. And they were so surprised how many Bhagavad Gitas are being distributed immediately. Another letter that Prabhupada wrote to one of his disciples. Regarding the society's leaders emphasizing business, you should understand what is the meaning of business. Business means to help the preaching. Preaching needs financial help. Otherwise, we have no need for business. So far as I understand, our book business is sufficient to support our movement. I do not want the preaching to be at the expense of managing. Manager must also be a preacher. Otherwise, who will want to follow him? So I put that in there specifically, read that specifically, because you can see we have a gift shop and we have a restaurant. And the purpose of those entities is to help the preaching. People coming to the temple, taking Krishna Prasadam, paying for it. And then that money is being utilized for the preaching in the gift shop. We see people coming, buying different beads, neck beads, different things, cloth. And what is the outcome of that? The outcome is that whatever profit we're making, we see that it goes towards our preaching efforts in the temple here. So these things are very, very important. And that's the reason why we're just mentioning this. Okay, another letter from Srila Prabhupada. Your report of book distribution there is very encouraging. Make program to distribute our books all over the world. Our books are being appreciated by learned circles, so we should take advantage. Whatever progress we have made, it is simply due to distributing these books. So go on and do not divert your mind for a moment from this. I have full confidence in you. This is Srila Prabhupada writing to one of his disciples, expressing his delight and that person's focus on just distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. So this is our mood here. New Dwarka, this is what we want to do. We want to be focused on book distribution because Prabhupada said on many, many occasions that from book distribution, everything else will come. You can't not have book distribution. If you don't have book distribution in the temple, we're not going to be successful. Book distribution is what makes everything happen. And that's the preaching effort that we do. And we know that we've heard so many times that Prabhupada said that the secret of success is to actually please the spiritual master, the predecessor acharyas. That's the success factor. That's how we become successful. And what we have to do is know what the predecessor Acharya wants. What did Srila Prabhupada want? And when you read these things, you'll see that Prabhupada wanted this book distribution more than anything. More than building a big temple, more than having big deity worship. But those things are necessary. It's not, don't misinterpret. Don't say that, don't think I'm thinking that this is unnecessary. No, for us neophytes, it's very important. But we should see that book distribution is more important. This preaching effort is more important. It brings people to the temple. They become purified, and they can actually become preachers of Krishna consciousness. So that's the idea. So don't misinterpret that we're saying this is no good, that's no good. That's material vision. We're saying everything is good. But in the eyes of the Acharya, book distribution is most important. And we should imbibe that mood. I think up here, sitting up here, there's 150 years of Krishna consciousness right here, between three of us. That's a lot. And in that, and I can say that 150 years of Krishna consciousness, we all understand the importance of Srila Prabhupada's books and how it brings people to Krishna consciousness. Our desire and our anxiety is that you take that also. That, because at our age, maybe next year one of us may not be here. Literally. It's that close. And things can change that quickly. So we would feel very satisfied and happy to know that you have taken up this idea, this important part of Krishna consciousness, and put it within your heart, imbibe it. And that'll be the story of your success in Krishna consciousness. This is what's kept us going. Just knowing that this is happening. And we put all our energy and effort into this in order for it to happen, to please Srila Prabhupada. Okay? So let's ask Naikama Prabhu, or Brigupati Prabhu, please. Okay. Brigupati is our biggest book distributor in New Dwarka Dham. Haribo!
Well, I'd just like to start my talk by showing a short video about book distribution. You can put it on there.
Ricochet is a 6-year-old golden retriever. She's been a working therapy dog for 5 years, and she's a superstar.
I started training Ricochet when she was 13 days old. She's able to give every individual what they need, whether they know it or not.
Judy signed Ricochet up for a program that pairs veterans struggling with PTSD with therapy dogs. That's how Ricochet met Iraq War veteran Randy Dexter.
The day I met her, I was in a bad place mentally. This was kind of like a last-ditch effort for me. Yeah, you know it. I was a combat medic, and I deployed twice to Iraq. I went to Iraq with the hope of saving everyone that I could, and when that didn't happen, kind of lost faith in myself and ended up coming home with having all these problems, and nightmares were horrific. I'm pretty anxious right now. My palms are a little sweaty. She's not going to let me push myself too far.
If she senses that Randy is too stressed to continue, she plants herself, standing very still and rigid, so Randy is forced to stop and stay calm. Then, she leans into him so he can release his anxiety.
In the military, we have battle buddies. Someone's with you at all times. I got your back, you got mine, we're there for each other. She's my battle buddy.
This lovely gentleman is Caspin. Caspin's personality fits mine so well. He's got this big, goofy grin, and he is my best friend.
28-year-old Wallace Brosman has a rare movement disorder called dystonia. The signals from her brain are incorrectly handled by her muscles in her lower body and even her voice. Caspin came from CCI, Canine Companions for Independence. And he came with some amazing skills. He could pick things up she's dropped, carry things, turn lights on and off, and something much more important.
Most importantly, he came with this willingness to learn. He's changed my life, and I truly love him.
Are you going to let the greedy heating companies and their crazy high prices decide if your family is allowed to stay warm?
Marbles. Yeah. I know. That's what you're all thinking, right? Yeah. No. This is about book distribution. I'll explain. How do you feel about that? Actually, I only showed you 2 out of 5. There was 5 little segments there, but that was 2 of them. But how do you feel about those dogs? I mean, you really like them, don't you? I mean, you heard what the lady said. Casper's my best friend and I love him. It's natural. You know, only half the dogs that are trained, you know, that are candidates to become service dogs make it through the training. So, you know, they have to like make it through the training and then they actually go to work like that. And so they're elevated. You know, the dog is just like a negligible animal, generally speaking, right? Prabhupada, you know, always use dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. They can get included among them. So, but by the service, by, you know, performing service like that, you become elevated. And not only is that service appreciated, but if I would have showed all the 5 people, you know, that had these service dogs, they loved the dog. You love them. So in the same way, you know, we have to become the service dog of the spiritual master. By service, we'll be elevated. And we heard, you know, Svavasa was reading all these different things and saying things about what a pleasing service book distribution was to Srila Prabhupada. You know, so pleasing. I mean, in the Bhagavad Gita, right at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says, for one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. And as if that's not enough, he goes on to say, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So that's the way to become dear, you know, preaching. And Prabhupada said there's different types of preaching, but of those, book distribution he felt was really, really important. So by Svavasa, Prabhu was saying, you know, take it to heart and dedicate our lives to this service of book distribution, become Srila Prabhupada's service dog, you know, in terms of, you know, service animal, preaching and distributing the books. And that's the way to become very, very dear to Srila Prabhupada, the Parampara, the disciplic succession, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna, etc. It's like the perfection of life. So that was the short message I just wanted to share with everybody. I really believe that, and if you want to watch the rest of the video sometime, let me know. I'll give you the link. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna. Hare Krishna. In a moment, we're going to be hearing some wonderful results of all of your hard work from Svavasa Prabhu. And Brigapati Prabhu was just mentioning so nicely how the importance of book distribution. And Srila Prabhupada makes some statements in these regards, so I just wanted to quote some of his statements. Srila Prabhupada points out that there are many novel ways to expand your preaching or expand your presentation in the material world. People are very novel in their ways to promote their work or name or whatever. Srila Prabhupada comments that the books we are publishing are completely novel to the Western world. Why? He says that we are explaining the science of devotional service in so many different instance, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that the book distribution and the books that he's produced are offering a unique understanding of devotional service. So many wonderful ways. Prabhupada comments that there's a reading but now people are reading all kinds of nonsense books, and thus their reading capacity is helping the cycle. Discussions and so many attempts to hear and recite so many different topics, but that subject matter is not elevating people in any fashion. Instead, as Prabhupada points out here, they're gliding slower and slower into a hellish existence. See to it that our literatures are profusely distributed. That means that our missionary work is going on nicely. Otherwise, we are simply sleeping and eating. The literature we are producing, that we have already designated, the literature we have already designated as very active. So, again, Prabhupada is making the point that preaching is very simple to understand. When it's done properly, the results are there. Prabhupada makes the example here that these books are the life of human society. Others may be disturbed, but they cannot disturb this Srimad Bhagavatam. Let any man come, but here they cannot touch. We are putting these books for distribution before the topmost thinkers of human society. Therefore, I have to see to it that in all languages, all of our books are published. If we strain, and if we strain and he likes and takes one book home, someday people will come to understand that valuable knowledge they have realized. It is transcendental literature. Nobody can challenge it. If it is done nicely, without any spot, the spotless Purana. So, just some thoughts about from Srila Prabhupada about the importance, but the practical application of it is that the results are there. So it's Prabhupada is giving us just simple guidelines and helping us to understand how important book distribution is and how it should be done properly. And if it's done properly, the results are there. Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. All right, a couple more things and then we'll make some announcements about book distribution. Something I'd like to read here is that Prabhupada says, this is a letter he wrote to his disciple. He says, regarding Sankirtan and book distribution, both should go on, but book distribution is more important. It is Brihat Kirtan. In Tokyo airport, one boy had come to me asking if he could speak with me. I said yes. Then he asked me, Swamiji, where did you get all that knowledge in your books? Of course, it is Krishna's knowledge, not mine, but the effect is there. So, Kirtan, book distribution is better. Book distribution is also Kirtan. And one more thing. This is also a letter written by Prabhupada. He says that this book selling is the real preaching of our movement, especially when you sell Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. They will understand what we mean by reading these books. So you organize freely. You are the incarnation of book distribution. So take the leadership and do the needful. This is Prabhupada speaking to a very nice devotee, Tripurari Swami, in those days. Very, very sweet. Okay. So, we want to read some scores here. They're all very ecstatic this year. Altogether, through the year of 2023, we had about 64 devotees that went out. Yeah, 64, I think it is. There's 66, yeah, 66 devotees. And these are the yearly results. First, I'll do the marathon. Why don't I do that first? Okay, Christmas marathon, yes, Prabhupada marathon. So, the Prabhupada marathon, we had 32 devotees altogether. I'll say the names real quickly. Balai Dasi, Suvarnabindu Prabhu, Shama Devi Dasi, Raman Reti Das, Gaura Chandra Das, Radharani Devi Dasi, Mayapur Shashi Das, Dhanbantari Devi Dasi, and then we had Archita Das, Svavasa and Tadit, Nakatma Prabhu, Shantatma Devi Dasi, Krishnapad Prabhu, and Veda Prabhu, Govinda Ananda Prabhu, Shamarari Prabhu, Bhakti Brian, Chaitanya Singha Prabhu, Dvijamani Gaur Prabhu, Parma Karuna Prabhu, Jagat Tatra Prabhu, Bhakti Kevin, Dear Lalita Prabhu, Bhakti Avatar Prabhu, Sachitanoi Prabhu, Prem Sankirtan Prabhu, and Brigupati Prabhu. Yes, so some scores. We'll just do the kind of top 4 or 5, so this kind of gives us a perspective. And we'll start with Jagat Tatra. And Jagat Tatra, 689 small, 123 medium, 159 big, 942 Maha Big, and 2,035 Lakshmi points. Bhakti Kevin, 1,037 small, 277 medium, 137 big, 942 Maha Big, and he did 2,035 Lakshmi points. And then we had Dear Lalita Prabhu, 22 small, 372 medium, 124 big, 925 Maha Big, and that was 2,470 Lakshmi points. And Bhakti Avatar, 829 small, 228 medium, 253 big, 925 maha big, and one set of Srimad Bhagavatams, and 2,471 Lakshmi poems. Sachitanoi Prabhu, 87 small, 553 medium, 646 big, 137 maha big, and 2,549 Lakshmi poems. Prem Sankirtan Prabhu, 245 small, 522 medium, 518 big, 704 maha big, and 2,673 Lakshmi poems. And then we had Brigupati Prabhu. So Brigupati Prabhu did 942 small, 500 medium, 470 big, 1,955 maha big, 275 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam, and 39,672 Lakshmi points. Hari Bol! What a marathon.
There's a story behind that.
That's fantastic. We'll do also here, we had, like I said, we had something like 66 devotees go out for the year. I'll just do the top 10, okay? So the top 10 is Devavrata Prabhu. They did 14 magazines, 1,130 small, 487 medium, 1,531 big, 1,672 maha big, 79 sets of Chaitanya Charitamrita, 13,949 Lakshmi points. Then we had Jagat Tatra Prabhu, 73 magazines, 1,179 small, 1,789 medium, 1,615 big, 2,453 maha big. Yeah, and 5 sets of, I guess, Chaitanya Charitamritas. And he did 16,418 Lakshmi points. That's not even a full year, really. And then we had Nitai Jiva Doya Sankirtan team, 64 small, 1,407 medium books, 2,106 big, 2,373 maha big, and that was 21,128 Lakshmi points. Sachitanoi Prabhu, 885 small, 5,786 medium, 8,466 big, 1,748 maha big, and he did 32,466 Lakshmi points. Prem Sankirtan Prabhu, 6 magazines, 3,245 small, 6,813 medium, 6,373 big, 7,954 maha big, 7 sets of Bhagavatams, 36,112 Lakshmi points. Dear Lalita Prabhu, 370 small, 6,714 medium, 2,454 big, 3,497 maha big, 38,860 Lakshmi points. And then we had Brigupati Prabhu. Brigupati Prabhu did 2,992 small, 8,183 medium, 8,130 big, 17,573 maha big, 286 sets of Bhagavatams, 110,912 Lakshmi points. Haribo! Wow, what he's got, that's an executive job. He's not just an ordinary laborer, he's an executive. So that was the score for that.
If I could add one thing, there's an interesting comment by Srila Prabhupada recognizing the efforts of the book distribution, and specifically in Los Angeles. Prabhupada wrote, the book distribution in Los Angeles during a 6-day period, but we can add it to this year, during this period is transcendental samadhi. They're working in trance, not on the material platform. Prabhupada wrote, without keeping, working in deep, working without sleep means no death. Sleeping is dead condition. Your book distribution is really intoxication.
Haribo!
Hari Bol.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so now we'll read the results. Yes, go ahead.
I'd just like to say that my score, without getting into any detail, really reflects the cooperation of, as Svavasa Prabhu was saying, the shop, the restaurant, and our congregation.
Yes.
That board there. They just stuck my name on it. I just happened to be the spearhead, but it's really like Svavasa was saying, and like Mahatma read in that letter by Prabhupada about keep the wheels rolling on the railroad. It's a community effort. That kind of score was possible because the entire community was behind all this.
Yeah, that's right.
The inmates, so to speak, the devotees who are living right here, and then we have a lot of support from the people living outside. So that's how it all happens.
Jai. Thank you for your service. Brigopati Prabhu ki jai. Wow. Okay, just very quickly, the 2023 results. So in the Sankirtan collections this year were 474,000 Lakshmi points. Yes, that's including that board there. And then the gift shop did about 300,000 for the year, and they gave 136,000 Lakshmi points to the temple. Yes, for our preaching efforts. And the buffet did 240,000 and gave the temple 58,000 Lakshmi points. We're just mentioning that, although the shop and the buffet are just now starting to get cranked up again because of the pandemic and everything created a problem, and only open a few hours a day compared to what we used to be. We're not even half the time, and we're doing very well. Okay, and for Rath Yatra, the temple, we had 209,498 Lakshmi points. From the Sunday feast for the year, 40,886 Lakshmi points. Other festivals was 100,000 Lakshmi points. Membership was 34,000 Lakshmi points. The Didi Hundi box, that's that box right there that you see, that was 104,000 Lakshmi points. Didi, yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, that box, how important that box is there. The Didi Mahaprasad sales, one day a week on Sunday for the year, did 52,000 Lakshmi points. The Bhagavad Gita Museum, 25,000 Lakshmi points. And the temple gave to the BBT so far, we don't know if that's the actual end of it, but so far, 450,000 Lakshmi points for the LA temple, to the BBT. That's huge. That's really huge. Okay, and then we have our property division. We have all the apartments that we have there, and you're wondering what goes on over there. And so the IPD, managed by Nakatma Prabhu, gave the temple 152,000 Lakshmi points for the year. Yes. Okay, books distributed. Magazines, 3,850. Small books, 62,270. Medium books, 48,055 Lakshmi points. Big books, books distributed. Big books, 50,201. And Maha Big Books, 64,600 Maha Big books. And sets of Bhagavatams, 374 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, 129 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets, and 29 of the Prabhupada sets. So that's a big year for us, 374 Bhagavatam sets. So total literatures, 229,568 books distributed. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I haven't figured out the book points here, but we'll figure those out. So, yes, that was the year for 2023. Big year, very solid. You can see we don't have a big team, but it's very potent. It's a potent team, and we do a lot. And for us, as the LA Temple, giving that amount to the BBT is very glorious. And we'd like to, our goal this year, 500,000. We need your cooperation in order to do 500,000. That's only 50K more. That's not a lot. That's doable. And if we all get into it and make more devotees, get them out on book distribution, make that our goal, to get out there and distribute Prabhupada's books. Like it says in this one book, distribute my books, distribute my books, distribute my books. This is Srila Prabhupada. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay.